Welcome to New York's #2 sports show. The Rangers come out of the holiday break and they suffer another ugly loss. This time 6-2 to the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Rangers are now 4-14 in their last 18 games. This is now a 3-game losing streak. And yeah, I don't really see this getting a whole lot better. Really, this actually wasn't one of their worst games. I mean, they did lose 6-2. You never really felt good about it, but I've seen the Rangers play worse. I don't know what it means, but the Rangers special teams really let them down in this one. They allowed 2 power play goals. They allowed 2 shorthanded goals, including one to former Ranger captain Ryan McDonough, his first goal of the season. It was Chris Kreider's first game back from being a healthy scratch against the Devils. Keandre Miller makes his return to the lineup, and, that wasn't so good. Igor Shesterkin was pulled after allowing 5 goals. Yeah, again, just not a whole lot to feel great about. And with Miller, he had been out for 6 games. So I think that when you look at the standings at the end of the season, Rangers are going to be pretty towards the bottom. 16, 18, and 1. Last place in the Metropolitan Division. Not even that far from last place in the Eastern Conference. The only teams that have less points than the Rangers are the Detroit Red Wings and Buffalo Sabres. And again, not by much, like 3 points. That's it. So, and next game, the Rangers play the Florida Panthers, and Florida is coming off a game in which they lost 4-0 at home to Montreal. Don't really love the sounds of that based on what we know of Florida, based on the fact that, Paul Maurice is going to have him ready to go. So things that kind of come to mind more big picture wise, not to say, and maybe this is more, I'm not sure what's more of the outlier, and it's probably maybe more like Tampa, for example. I think about the fact that the Lightning have been able to have some sustained success for a long time. And we can keep it in the terms of regular season. We don't have to bring it to the playoffs, but we certainly can. Like, the Rangers have been a very good team for the last few years. But really, and it depends on, how far you want to go, right? Because if I want to talk about, from the lockout, the 05-06, that season onward, yes, the Rangers have made the playoffs a lot more than they haven't. Big time. And if you even want to go, even take a little bit further than that, the last 15 years, the Rangers have really been a very successful team. But, in the Rangers, they missed the playoffs. I'm not really going to count that 2020 season. I'm going to count that as a miss, basically. So they had missed 4 straight years of not making it. And some of it was by design. Then they made the playoffs the last 3 seasons. But now it's headed downward. And I see teams like Tampa. There aren't that many of them, right? I'm not going to make it seem like it's a big thing. But Tampa, Carolina, for a while, Pittsburgh and Washington's already made their way back. Just amazing work by them. The fact that rebuild, if there ever was one, seems like it took no time. And there's other teams I could mention too. Florida doesn't necessarily fit the bill because Florida missed the playoffs for a lot. So maybe it's more so praise. I acknowledge it might be more so praise of Tampa and Carolina and some other teams as well more than anything. But the point is, for the Rangers to just bottom out like this is honestly pretty pathetic. It really, really is. I mean, to be a President's Trophy winning team, to being very close to reaching the Stanley Cup final, and starting out 12-4-1, even though it was a little bit of smoke and mirrors going on, to then do this, it's concerning isn't even the right word, honestly. And it feels like Peter Laviolette is kind of dead man walking. But the way I feel, it's you can fire him. You could not fire him. I don't think it makes that much of a difference. If it's me, I probably let him finish the season out. I think I do. If they fire him, I'm not going to have a big issue with it. But I'm not clamoring okay, Laviolette's got to go. I really don't think that's going to fix things with this team. Not to the point where it's really going to matter. I don't know. They don't inspire much confidence. And maybe this isn't the game to necessarily pile on them because, like I said, they've played a lot worse in other games. The score ends up probably being maybe unkind to them. And Igor Shesterkin was definitely in the blame here, especially that McDonough goal. That was a bad goal by Igor. And you were looking for a big save, which you didn't really get. But you're not surprised by it. We've hit a new point. We've hit a new point as Ranger fans, and it's happened very quickly. There wasn't that much time to prepare for it because I watch these games now and it feels different. It does not feel anywhere near the same as it has in recent seasons. Um, the end is near if it's not already there, so. And look, Chris Drury, he should very much be on the hot seat. I don't know that he is, but to me, blame more goes there than to Laviolette, but even more so to the players. I think it goes players, then Drury, then Laviolette, but all three are part of the problem. Definitely. So, getting back to more roster stuff, I said Kreider had returned, and with that having happened, he took the spot in the lineup of, I guess, Brodzinski. So Brodzinski back to the bench. Let me give some quick thoughts on the forwards, and then we'll go to the defense. So with the forwards, again, we'll talk mostly negatives. Zibanejad just stands out as just being one of the worst. And he was -2 in this game. And so now he's -21 in the season in 35 games. I mean, it gets worse and worse for Mika Zibanejad. And yet he played 19 minutes and 10 seconds. He was, by the end of the game, taken off for the number one power play unit. So we've seen Lafreniere replace him, but the game didn't start that way. And it cost them at least one goal. At least one. Probably, yeah, I'll say one goal, where Zibanejad being on the number one power play unit ends up in a shorthanded goal for Tampa. So at least that happened, but yet the ice time was still very high for Zibanejad. He's one where, Kreider was healthy scratch. All right, how about Zibanejad being healthy scratch as well? Kreider, he ends up -3. And look, some of this stuff, like I always say, plus minus can be a bit misleading. Kreider had a little bit of jump, but the numbers are so fucking ugly. He was never much of an assist guy, although he was picking up on that. I think it was last year where the point totals were pretty good and he had a lot more assists than we're accustomed to. And he has 12 points in 31 games. That can't be happening for a top 6 player. That's really brutal. And now that plus minus is dropping off as well. With that -3, I want to say that he's -7, which is crazy. That's Zibanejad's -21. I understand that he hasn't been lineman to Kreider all season. They've been broken apart at times, but it's fucking nuts. What else? The Trocheck line was decent. I liked Trocheck at least gives you effort, right? That's where it's on this team, if you were to name a captain, Trocheck would be the front runner. If it's up to me, I wouldn't have a C. I would wait. I think no rush for it. I see next year if you want to, yeah. If there's no one that you feel qualifies, I'm also fine with it. I'm not one of those that's in a rush to have a captain. But Trocheck definitely does exemplify that more than anyone on this team. And I thought that line was okay. Wasn't amazing, but they're all right. Whereas the Zibanejad, Kreider, Riley Smith line, not quite as good. But it's all kind of, at this point, it's all kind of irrelevant in a way. But, the Heat line, it's tough. I feel like that line has lost a bit of juice. And it's too bad that, they just don't play enough. I want to see that line get more ice time. And look, Filipino has taken a downturn. And could it be, could the concussions, whatever happened, right? He got through a good start. Then, I don't know, ever since he got back from whatever that situation was and that collision against, I think it was the Sharks, might have been, hasn't been quite as good. And I don't know, maybe Kako be that's been somewhat recent, but that was a good line, that Cooley Heedle Kako line. And now it has Berard on it, and Berard's had some struggles. I would like to see Berard maybe with nothing against Heedle and Cooley, and I'm fine with it. But yeah, I don't know. Let me see Berard maybe in the top 6. Get some more ice time and see what he can do in that role. Like I don't like him getting 10 minutes and 14 shifts. Just that's not going to cut it. It's not going to help him get any better. At this point, like I think like the player evaluation for the young guys is key. So I don't know. It just feels as if in some ways like Heedle, not so much Cooley, but I don't know. They have their level of play has probably diminished a bit. And then on the fourth line, Sam Carrick. You know what? I think he is someone that we need to consider as a healthy scratch at this point. He takes 3 penalties. The guy takes a lot of penalties. And I've been mostly complimentary of Sam Carrick, but it gets to a point where it's like, no, you're taking way, way too many minors. He only played 5 minutes. You know, I wouldn't be totally shocked if Johnny Brodzinski takes Carrick's spot. It was that kind of egregious. Like, come on at this point, you know? So don't be surprised if that happens. But yeah, you know, whatever. So defense. Keandre Miller's back, and Zach Jones again is a healthy scratch. I don't love it. I don't love it. It just sucks that, for example, like Ryan Lindgren, like he's never at risk. Never. And it's like, who would I rather see, Zach Jones or Vakanainen? Probably Zach Jones. It's not that Vakanainen's been bad, but it's just like, I don't know. Jones was someone that was somewhat highly thought of. He's got some creativity. He hasn't been great. And so I'm not going to die on the hill, but it is a little bit frustrating. And I'm not impressed by Will Borgen. I don't think that, you know, if the Rangers trade him by the deadline, I'm not expecting to get a whole lot back. You know, you'll get a little bit back because he's a defenseman. Like his style of there is a value in a guy like him, but if you somehow got a 2nd-round pick for him, I think that'd be a total win. I'm not sure that happens. I really don't think that it should. I don't love that Braden Schneider was moved down. What it was his Lindgren, Fox, Miller, Borgen. So kind of think Miller, Trouba, Miller, Borgen, and then Vakanainen with Schneider. And so Schneider only played like 16 minutes. I don't know. Not sure if that's what they should be doing. Fox played a lot. Keandre Miller played a lot. I didn't think Keandre Miller looked good, and I know it was his first game back, so I'll give him a mulligan here, but I didn't think Keandre's game was really good at all. Again, I don't have a lot to feel good about with this team, and Igor wasn't very good. So Quick came in relief, and, you know, was better than Shesterkin, but the game was already over at that point. So anyway, let's get into it. Vasilevsky versus Shesterkin. You know, always a bit of excitement there, but, you know, Vasilevsky definitely got the better of Igor in this one. I thought the Ranger first period wasn't that bad. I mean, they outshot Tampa 17-6. Deserved probably a better fate, but it's an early penalty by Sam Carrick. At 146, he trips Cam Atkinson, and the Lightning take advantage of this. It's a goal by Nikita Kucherov, his 16th goal of the season, assisted by Braden Point and Jake Gensel. So this was just honestly, the Rangers are good when it's in their own zone and the opposing team's trying to move it around. They're very good at defending that. It's the rush plays that get them, and that's what happens on this power play. And it was kind of a combination of Miller and Borgen. The Rangers make a line change, but they were in somewhat good position. That didn't matter. Trocheck and Smith are on, but it was an easy play where Point just easily gets by Keandre Miller, and Borgen's unable to stop the pass from Point to Kucherov. Just too easy. Way too easy. And so, yeah, to me, it's a Miller-Borgen problem on that one. That gives Lightning one the lead and a bad penalty by Sam Carrick. Then at 9:23, Artemi Panarin scores a 16th goal of the season from Trocheck and Fox. So nice bit of passing here. Rangers win the faceoff. Fox is able to rim it around the boards. Trocheck gets it, wheels around, and finds an open Panarin who risks it by Vasilevsky. So that's the benefits of, you know, Trocheck winning that offensive zone draw. Adam Fox showing, you know, he didn't do anything crazy, but a little bit of creativity and, you know, just a nice goal right there to tie it up at 1. Then Tampa takes a penalty at 17:05. Chernak hooks Vincent Trocheck. And the Rangers, this is a play where they have like a 4-on-3 opportunity that ends up on the stick of Zibanejad, stopped by Vasilevsky. And I think it was honestly Kreider, probably, that out of everyone was caught up ice. And so it's a 3-on-1. But despite all of that, Despite the fact that there was not a man rush and it's not a great job by, again, Kreider and others possibly, Igor has to make this stop. It's McDonough's first goal of the season, shorthanded, assisted by Cirelli at 18-11. Like, Igor's got to stop that. No way around it. That's a bad goal. And so what could have ended 1-1, I told you the stats. When the Rangers are trailing at the first period, now they're probably what? I lose track of it. 1-12, 1-13, something like that. And when the Rangers, when they're trailing, it's over. And so the worst period for the Rangers was the second period. And that's been a bit of a theme. I think the stats probably show that too. The goals for and the goal differential seems to probably be the worst, I would say, in the second period. And it's the period of the long change, and it doesn't seem to work well for the Rangers. So at 3:35 of the second, Braden Point scores his 23rd goal of the season, assisted by Nikita Kucherov. And this was a goal where Gensel gets into the offensive zone, kind of beats Borgen, but Miller half gains control of the puck. It was kind of a weak play by Miller where he needed to be stronger with it and loses it. So again, it's kind of that Miller-Borgen combo. I think, again, more blame goes to Miller. And Sam Carrick with kind of weak coverage in front of the net. And Jimmy Vesey was kind of in the vicinity. I think both of them deserve a little bit of blame there. And Point ends up with kind of an easy backhand with a pretty wide open net. So again, like, another knock against Sam Carrick, another knock against K'Andre Miller, and to a lesser extent, Will Borgen. Then the Rangers get a power play. Too many men on the ice on the Lightning at 4:50, but it results in what felt like at the time, too, a bit of a dagger, although I didn't have much confidence anyway. Another shorthanded goal by the Lightning. It's Anthony Cirelli scoring his 14th goal of the season, assisted by Brandon Hagel at 5:02. And this was one where, in some ways, Artemi Panarin sets up Zibanejad for somewhat failure, but it's just classic Mika winding up. He loves that, shooting from that left circle. And you just, it's obvious. He's become a one-trick pony, and he's not even good at it. So, Panarin trying to feed him, but the Mika, it doesn't go anywhere. I guess it was blocked by Hagel. It's a 2-on-1, and Panarin is unable to defend it properly. He's not the best defensively, and he's the only one back. And it's an easy pass from Hagel to Cirelli. Igor might have felt like he was a little bit deep in his crease. Still, though, this is a very good opportunity, and Tampa scores to take a 4-1 lead. Then it's another Sam Carrick penalty, called for roughing Gergensons at 7:39, and the Lightning take advantage of it. So what is it? 3 goals in a matter of about 4.5 minutes. So that's basically going to ruin it for you. And it's Jake Gensel scoring his 20th goal of the season, a power play goal from Point and Kucherov at 8:08 of the second. And this was one where it just felt like Kreider, Zibanejad, Lindgren, and Fox were too deep in. The Lightning did a good job of kind of like bringing the puck closer and closer to the net. Kucherov passes it in front. It goes off of Braden Point. Kind of a weird goal, kind of a lucky goal in a way, but it goes off of Point in front. I guess Point may have gotten a little bit of a shot off. It kind of then goes off of Gensel's skate. It wasn't a kicking thing. It just kind of just ricochets off of his skate, his shin maybe, and in past Igor. So that's the second power play goal of the game for the Lightning. The second one where Sam Carrick was in the box. And what kind of hurts about that, too, is Sam Carrick is one of their penalty killers as well. So that makes it 5-1. Igor is pulled at that point. There would be a penalty on Tampa Bay at 10:30. It was Cage Goncalves with a tripping penalty of Filipino. Rangers don't score on that. And then at 18:59, another Sam Carrick penalty. Cross-checks Luke Glendening. But that one the Rangers do kill and actually make things better. At the 13-second mark of the third, the Rangers score a shorthanded goal. So they get one themselves. It's Vincent Trocheck with his 10th goal of the season, assisted by Ryan Lindgren. This is a play where Lindgren, in the defensive zone, just kind of slaps it out, and it becomes a 2-on-1 with Hedman being the only man back, Trocheck and Riley Smith. Trocheck takes the shot, and it goes in through Vasilevsky. Not a good goal by Vasilevsky. I thought he played well, but this is when he liked to have it back. Just a simple shot that just went through him. So that makes it 5-2. The Rangers had a good third period, but again, the game was basically over at that point. Rangers outshot Tampa in the third, 19-7. So the Rangers outshot the Lightning 44-25 in this one. But they were 0 for 4 on the power play, whereas the Lightning were 2 for 5. And then you add to it 2 shorthanded goals for the Lightning. I know the Rangers had 1, but like that's 4-1 short specialty teams goals. Rangers can't win that way. There's no way. So it's 5-2 at that point. Then you get some penalties. At 8:18, Riley Smith hooks Ryan McDonough. So again, Smith, it just has not worked out with the Rangers. And then at 9:29, Will Borgen cross-checks Brandon Hagel. So it was 5-on-3 for a little bit. But the Rangers kill it off. And then during the 5-on-4, Victor Hedman trips Riley Smith to eventually give the Rangers a power play. But after that was over, the Lightning score at 14-12. It's Nick Paul with his 9th goal of the season unassisted. And this was Jonathan Quick's 1 goal allowed. This was a play where Keandre Miller and Fox were on together. And really a bad job by both of them. Brett Berard with a little bit of blame because Brett Berard did turn it over. He was put in a tough spot by, I believe, Fox. But Berard turns the puck over, and then it's just a situation where from there, it was Hedman with the puck. But Nick Paul just basically has an easy chance at it, goes around Keandre Miller, stopped by Quick, then Fox literally tries to clear it away and gives it right to Nick Paul, who easily just shoots and scores. So, again, not good there. It gives Lightning a 6-2 lead. They win by a score of 6-2. So, this Florida trip is not looking good. This isn't that surprising. They come out of the break, and if they had somehow won this game, you could have convinced yourself, okay, all right, maybe they just needed a reset. But to start like this, and I really don't feel good about that Panther game at all. Let them surprise me, but I don't think that that's going to happen. So now 16-18-1, 4-14 in the last 18 games. Like I said, a 3-game losing streak, just bad all the way around. Last in the division. They don't show a ton of fight and grit. When they're losing, they don't come back. It's kind of been a theme all season long. And yeah, so it'll be their last game of the calendar year. So 2024, which had a lot of great moments, last season, is going to end in a pretty sour way. And we'll see just how bad it ends, where ironically, they'll take on the team that eliminated them from the playoffs last season. They'll take on the Florida Panthers. And then they'll head into the new year and hope that things get better, but they're not going to. This is very likely to be headed very much downhill. So again, Rangers lose to the Tampa Bay Lightning 6-2. They will complete their Florida trip with the game against the Panthers on Monday night.